Is everyone ready? Let's get ready for chemistry! This video is designed to teach you how to use a glass transfer pipette. So, not a plastic pipette, not a disposable pipette, but a glass pipette. And you can see here, there's volumetric markings on the side of this. This particular pipette will hold 10 mils. This pipette's a lot smaller, and as you can see here, the decimals on them, each one of these is 0.1 mils. So this pipette holds a total of 1 mil. You've got two different kinds of pipette bulbs. You've got this pipette bulb, and you've got this pipette bulb, and they're very different from each other. The way to get the pipette into the pipette bulb is to choke up and then sort of gently twist it to insert it in here. Now, once this is in the pipette bulb, it's probably not stable. So never, ever, ever hold the pipette by the bulb. Always hold the pipette by the pipette. Okay? Never let go of the glass pipette. This pipette bulb works differently. So first, unscrew the cap a little bit. If you unscrew the cap all the way, you've done it wrong. You don't have to unscrew the cap all the way. Just unscrew it a little bit. And then again, choke up. And then put the pipette kind of gently into the pipette bulb. And then, while holding the pipette, screw the cap back on. Now the pipette should be in the white part, firmly in the pipette. Again, always hold the pipette. Don't only hold it by the pipette bulb, because the glass pipette can fall out and crack on the desk. All right, what not to do. If I'm going to put the pipette in the pipette bulb, and I'm going to put it in like this, that's bad. I want to put it in like this. The reason I don't want to put it in this way is because I'm putting pressure on the middle of the pipette, and the middle of the pipette can snap. So if I'm trying to push this into the pipette bulb, this pipette is very thin, it's very thin glass, and it's very easy for this to break. And if it does break, it's going to slice your thumb open. As you're trying to push this into the pipette, it's going to slice your thumb open. I know this because I have sliced my thumb open doing that exact thing. I've got a big scar that runs down my thumb here from when I was trying to push this into the pipette bulb like this. So choke up. Right? Don't come at it from way down here. That's what I mean by choke up. And then push it in like this. And then twist to put the cap back on, and that should lock the pipette in place. How to use a pipette. Take the pipette, put the pipette in the pipette bulb. With this particular pipette, there's a bunch of different areas of interest, I suppose you would say. There's this one to suck up the water. There's this one to empty it out, to let it out. And then there's this one to allow the bulb to create suction. So if I try to press the bulb, it doesn't do anything. But if I press the A here and then press the bulb, now the bulb's got suction. Then if I press the S here, that sucks up the liquid. And then if I press the E here, that lets it out. So what I would do is I would hold the A and then squeeze the bulb out. Some bulbs just don't have an A, some bulbs have a ball valve there. And then I would take my liquid and then pressing the S here, right, pressing right here, that sucks up the liquid until I get what I want. Now you can read this like a burette, reading the bottom of the meniscus. One thing to be aware of is, okay, I'm never letting go of the glass pipette, but I'm also not holding it down here. Why shouldn't I hold it down here? Because your hands are warm. As you warm up the liquid, you're changing the liquid's density. This causes the volume to expand. So always hold it up here where there is no liquid. Also, never ever ever suck up so much that you suck it up into the bulb. Don't suck liquid up into the bulb. It makes a huge mess. And then to release it, you take it to where you want it to go, and then you hold down the E button, and then that lets out the liquid. And once this is done, there's a little drop on the bottom of the pipette. I want that drop too. So I'm going to take that and I'm going to touch it to the side of the beaker, and that's going to get it off my pipette. There's a little bit of liquid still in the pipette. See that liquid down in the pipette there? That is not part of your volume. The reason for this is pipettes. This particular pipette is to deliver, TD, to deliver. So that means when you use the E button on the pipette, it's going to let the liquid out, it's going to let the liquid out, but then there's going to be this little bit in here. That's not part of your volume. It has delivered the correct amount. It has delivered the correct amount. It's not holding the correct amount. It has delivered the correct amount. And then if you want that last little bit, if you want to get that last little bit out, I'm going to inflate my ball, and then I'm going to hold the S, and I'm going to squeeze the top, and that's going to blow out what's in the pipette, what's in the rest of the pipette. So I'm going to completely inflate the ball, and then I'm going to hold the little S button, and I'm going to squeeze the pipette bulb, and that blows out what was in the pipette. This particular pipette bulb is probably a little bit more complicated than this pipette bulb is. This pipette bulb is probably easier to use. The way to use this pipette bulb is to put your pipette in the liquid, always holding the glass pipette itself, never not holding the glass pipette, and then to use the wheel to suck up the liquid. Can you see that? To use the wheel to suck up the liquid. And then once you've got the liquid to where you want it to be, then you pick it up, transfer it over, and then you use the white button. You use the white button on the side to let out your liquid. And again, this pipette is to deliver, so there's a little bit of liquid left in there. You want to get the drop off, so I'm going to touch the tip of it to the glassware that I'm transferring it to, and that gets the drop off. But then that little bit of liquid still in there, that's not part of your volume, because this tiny pipette is also to deliver. And it's written on the top here, this little bit of writing up here, this is also to So that little bit of liquid still in there, that's not part of your volume. If you want to get that out, you can just push down on the plunger to blow out the pipette, and that blew out the rest of the liquid that's in there. If you use the wheel to suck up your liquid, and then you use the plunger to blow it all out, you've done it wrong. Because you've blown out the last little bit in there, you've actually added more volume than the pipette measured. So don't use the plunger to push out the volume. Use the wheel to suck it up, and then use the button on the side to deliver it. Right? Then use the button on the side to deliver it, and then once it's all out, that last little bit in there, if that's a problem, then you can get rid of it by pushing down on the plunger. The next thing I want to explain, and it's a little bit out of order, but the next thing I want to explain is how to clean one of these things. So what you do is you use the pipette normally. You would take your pipette and you would get some soapy water, and you would suck up the soapy water, and then you would spit out the soapy water, and then you would pipette up the soapy water, and then you would spit out the soapy water. Always being careful not to get liquid in the pipette bulb itself, right? So I never want to suck it up so much that I get it into the pipette bulb. Suck it up, spit it out, soapy water, great. Now we can do the same thing with tap water to rinse it out. I'm gonna go straight to DI water. I'm gonna suck up, oop, I'm running out of room on my plunger. See how my plunger keeps getting bigger and bigger each time I use it? That's okay. I can just push down the plunger to reset it. All right, so I'm gonna put it in the DI water. I'm gonna suck up the DI water. I'm gonna spit it out. I'm gonna suck up the DI water. I'm gonna spit it out. I'm gonna suck up the DI water. I'm gonna spit it out, and then I'm gonna get rid of that last little bit in there. I'm gonna push down on the plunger to get rid of that last little bit in there. How do you know if the pipette is actually clean? If the water sheets out perfectly and doesn't leave any droplets behind inside the pipette, then the pipette is clean. If little droplets are left behind in the pipette, in theory, you should keep cleaning it. In reality, you should keep cleaning it. So I'm going to use this pipette bulb preferentially. I don't think the other one does as well. I think this one's a little bit easier for you to use. It takes less skill. So I'm going to put the pipette into the pipette bulb, and then I'm going to hold the pipette and the cap at the same time, and I'm going to turn this part to screw the cap onto the pipette. And I'm not using a whole lot of force. I don't want to force anything. Okay, the pipette's in there, but it probably is enough for gravity to pull it out. So I'm going to continue to hold the glass part of the pipette. I'm going to put it in the soapy water. I'm going to suck it up using the wheel. There was a little bit of delay between using the wheel to suck it up and what actually got sucked into the pipette. So that suction's not instantaneous sometimes. And then I'm going to take it and I'm going to let it out into the sink or wherever I discard my rinse. Now I'm not actually measuring any volume, so if I want to blow it all out using the top, I can do that. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to suck it up using the wheel. And if your wheel ever runs out, of room, then you can just push it back in after you're done. So I'm gonna use the button to let it out. Although I really don't have to use the button this time. I can actually push down on the plunger to blow the whole thing out. I can push down on the plunger to blow the whole thing out because I'm not actually delivering a set amount of volume. And then I can rinse it in the DI water. So I'm going to put it in the DI water. I'm going to rinse it in the DI water. I'm going to get it all out. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to get it all out. I don't need to go too fast. Although the best thing to do is probably, if I'm trying to get everything out of the pipette, is probably to use the button to let some of it out, and then to use the plunger to finish it. Now that's during cleaning, that's not during actually measuring the volume. And then if there's no droplets of water on the inside, then it's perfectly clean. There are some little droplets of water on the inside here, but I'm done. So that's how you use the glass pipettes. And then to get this thing out, again, I'm going to hold the glass pipette and I'm going to hold the cap and I'm going to twist off to open it up. And then I'm going to take out the glass. I don't have to completely take the cap off. I just need to loosen it so the pipette will come out. And that's how you use a glass transfer pipette.